I've literally just stepped in from outside and literally took my shoes off and sat down to do this video. I was going to do one last night, but I decided against it because it was just wall-to-wall tennis from sun up till till 1 o'clock in the morning. So I didn't want to interrupt the tennis. But I'm kind of glad that I didn't do the video because I've got more to say in a more interesting way, I think, and a more enlightening way than I would have last night. But anyway, so the reason I've got this on is because I don't have anything else underneath, because I was just speaking to someone who came to collect some blinds and some cushions at 7:40 in the morning, and I was fast asleep when my alarm went off. Well, not my alarm, got a text message to say he was outside. So I had to quickly get myself together, and so I just threw this long coat on, and off I went. So it covers a multitude. You can't tell that I'm not wearing anything. Anyway, so that aside. So, right, so the video I was going to do last night, which is the one I'm doing now, is to do with my sister's ongoing stay in hospital and the way people have been reacting, you know, asking me questions and so on. And I'm not answering. My reasons for not answering being it's too much information, and the last thing you want in the situation is negativity. So yesterday I went to see the doctor as we agreed, and he told me, next to my sister, she was in the bed next to me, I was sitting on the chair, and he, you know, told us what the findings were, rather what the test revealed and so on. And, you know, we talked a little bit. Now, we decided that, well, between myself and my sister, we are the type of, all right, my sister's nowhere near on the level that I am, that spiritually, that's why she's in the hospital and I'm not. And people will say, oh, how can you say that? Right, I am going to try and break it to her later on. I need to go back to the hospital at 2 o'clock today. So I will break it to her and say to her the reason why she's in the situation is because she has a safety net. Well, she has various safety nets in her life. I have none, which is what I was just talking to this gentleman about. And he totally gets it because he's more enlightened. And for me, these days, I struggle to find people to speak to about anything beyond the basics. The reason being, they will bring their energy into it, and that energy is a childish, nervous, negative energy. So, for example, when people start to worry, I'm so worried about your sister, how's your sister, what's wrong with your sister, my natural inclination is to say nothing. As I said in the previous video, with regards playing the saxophone, and people say, I didn't know you played the saxophone, why did you need to know? So in the same way, if you have no connections with my sister, even if you're a work colleague or a friend, you have your own life. Why do you need to know what's wrong with her? What can you do about it if there's something wrong with her? Why do you need to know how she is? What can you do about it? You see, so that's the attitude that I take. And I actually think it's the best attitude. My sister will agree with me as well. Because like I said, people will start to spread their negative energy. And that's not what you need. So, as I said, what is wrong with my sister is the fact that all her life, she's played safe. I was just speaking to the gentleman about this. I think now, because I'm in a situation where if the doctor says to me, can you come to the hospital at 2 o'clock, can you come at 3? Anytime in the day, if the doctor asks me, can you come to the hospital, I can go to the hospital because I own all 24 hours of my day. So I can be anywhere at any time if I need to be there because of the way I've structured my life. So my sister's always subscribed to the 9 to 5, and she's got all the safety nets, pension, life insurance, everything you can think of. She's got those safety nets. I have nothing. Even at school, I think I've said this in a previous video, I'm sitting in the class at school as a young teenager, and I've already worked out that I'm not going to go to school, leave school, get a job, retire, die route. I already made up my mind that I wasn't going to do that. I made a post on Facebook yesterday after the doctor called me while I was eating, and that was about, I needed to see him at 6 o'clock. Not 6 o'clock because we hadn't decided what time, but I normally leave to get to the hospital for 6 or thereabouts. So I was still eating, was just having the last mouthful when he called, and cutting a long story short, he asked if I could get to the hospital for 6. So I said to him I could if I leave now. But leaving now, I wasn't dressed. I needed to go and freshen up in the bathroom and so on. But he said to me not to rush, obviously, because I said I could if I leave now. He said, just get here when you can. So I did all of that. And then I walked. It takes about maybe 3 minutes to get to the bus stop. But obviously I need to walk down 4 flights of stairs as well. So I left out of here, and then when I started walking along the road, which is slightly downhill, and I saw one bus go, and then another behind, and the one behind was the one that I wanted, that takes me straight to the hospital. So I decided to make a dash for it, so I sprinted and I managed to catch it. So I did a post on Facebook, but I was very vague, and people wouldn't get where I was coming from on that, because obviously I can say a million words right here in a video. More so, it would be a massive long post if I was to go into the details on Facebook. So anyway, so I ran down the bus and I caught it. And it's not so much that it's like, oh, you're doing really well at 54, because look, you can still sprint and catch a bus. And I've said in another video, I've not exercised for at least 8 months, going to a year now. More so, the gym shut down, and as well, given that I'm so busy going from point A to point B, with my sister being in the hospital, exercise is out of the question, because that's going to take energy that I need to conserve. So, I managed to sprint down the bus, and I wasn't out of breath. And, I thought, yeah, well done me. But not in that kind of way. I've always liked to set myself challenges. So running down the bus and catching the bus, that is a challenge achieved. So I figured, okay, because it's Elizabeth Young versus the doctor kind of thing, because I said before I don't do doctors. So I thought, okay, in fact, I got to the hospital before 6. So what I did, I went to the shop to get my sister a bottle of water, and then I walked back, and that took me, I think I got on the ward 5 minutes past 6, which was much earlier than I would have done had I missed the bus. So I thought, okay, if a conversation, a bit of banter happens with the doctor, I'll point that out to him. That at my age, on no exercise, I've still got a level of fitness where I can just run down a bus, and there's nothing old woman about me, because all day while watching the tennis, and just YouTube videos as well, adverts coming up, it's, are you over 50? And it's sort of talking about 50-year-olds as though you've got one foot in the grave. And it's just, I've never viewed myself by virtue of my age. So as I said, from a young age at school, I worked out I wasn't going to go the conventional route. So I've never built my life that way. That's why I'm in a position where I can tend to my sister as needs be. So as I said, the reason why she's in the hospital, which I will try and explain to her, is because she's got all the safety nets. So she's built her life in such a way that just in case something happens, I've got this to back me up. I don't have anything to back me up. if 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 it all goes south, then I go south, right? So whatever happens, I go with it. But I live my life in such a way that, it's a bit like being on a high wire. You're more, if you don't have a safety net, you can fall off, and that's it. You're going to connect with the ground. Whereas if you've got the net, if you fall off, it's not a problem because you're just going to fall into the net. So I don't have safety nets in my life. The only safety net I have is that I make sure that I look after my health, right? Healthy mind, healthy body, healthy spirit. Not just my physical health, but a healthy mind leads to having other healthy outcomes. So, for example, people are constantly telling me, oh, you must be worried about your sister. I'm not worried. I'm not even slightly worried about her. All I do is I look for solutions. I try to work out. I left hospital yesterday trying to, well, not so much trying to work out, because there is God, and if you think long and hard enough, answers will come. So by the time I'd reached home on the bus, sorry, not home, my sister's place, which is home at the moment. By the time I got back here, I'd already worked out what the problem was. It's because she's got the safety nets, and so she's got the in case thing. So for example, one of the adverts that was coming up while I was watching the tennis was of something to do with life insurance, and for if you're between 50 and 80, no questions asked, you qualify, and it's so you can leave a little something for others, for your loved ones, or what was the other thing? I don't know, but it's always to leave something, and it's like, I'm not planning to leave anything for anyone, because I'm not planning to die. I'm not planning to go anywhere. And people have always been saying, oh, but death comes to all of us. We're all going to get old. We're all going to this. I did one video and I talked about in my 20s when people were telling me you're going to get middle age spread. It's just all this negativity, wishful thinking, wanting bad things to happen to you. In my opinion, why would you wish middle age spread on someone? Or even with this coronavirus, why would you be saying, oh, the police are going to get you, you don't wear a mask, they're going to, why do you want to tell people that? It's like you're willing it on them. So for my sister, at no point, she's been in the hospital now, tomorrow will be 4 weeks. At no point have I expressed anything negative. You'll get my mother who will ring up and she goes, oh, she's not talking any better. Or she'll even say it to her, oh, but you're not talking any better. So what happens now is my mother will ring, and I don't, the phone rings, I know it's her, I pass the phone to my sister. My sister will say hello, blah, 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 and then I'll hand you back to Liz. Straight away, she doesn't want to talk to her because of the negativity, right? So I've had people constantly asking me, how's your sister, what's wrong with your sister? I'm not answering. So I did a slight, it wasn't a rant, but I'm very outspoken and very blunt, so it'll come out like that. So I did a post on Facebook yesterday, and I asked, how does knowing what's wrong with her or how she is any of your business? Or rather, not any of your business, but what can you do about it? What are you going to do about it? Why do you need to know? You don't need to know. So even when people email me and send me text messages, I don't respond. Because why do you need to know? Or give her my best wishes, or I'm praying for her, or this or that. You don't need prayers, don't need anything. We've got a direct line to God as well, probably a more direct line than you negative person asking the question. Right, so people think that even though I say I don't worry, that deep down I do worry. I don't worry about anything, because, as I've said many times, I practice self-development. I talk about this in the book. The book was published nearly 20 years ago, and I talk about it I literally sat down early 1990s and made 2 lists. I talk about that in the book. One with the qualities that I wanted to develop, one with the qualities that I wanted to get rid of. So even though I'm super assertive to the point of aggressive, that's something that I've developed, because you need that to get through life. You know, just to cut through all the nonsense, you need to be that kind of person who you can't worry whether people like you or not. You just need to be in a position, if you take the path that I've taken, where you can just tell people no, and your no means no, that they will be so intimidated they're not going to come back and ask you a second time. So a lot of the qualities that people see within me that they would view as negative, these are qualities that I actually, like I said, the book documents this, I actually sat down with the intention of developing them. And for me, self-development is something that goes on and on. It's never ending. So like I said, with my sister, by the time I'd gotten back here to her place, I worked out what it was. It's because she's got all these safety nets. And so if she gets ill, actually, I'll come back to that in a second. It's the same thing with my mother. My mother needs to have an operation. And it's like she's very gleeful about it. When I say gleeful, it's because she looks at it like, oh, the surgeon is a very good man. This, that, the other. I already said what I think about doctors. Same category as undertakers. You don't really want to see them. If you got to see a doctor, it's bad. Even for the mildest thing, right? Whatever. So it's the same pattern with my sister. She's got all the insurance policies, you name it, she's got it. So if you've got all of these safety nets, then when you fall, you're going to fall into the safety net. So like I'm her next of kin, and I've joked with her on many occasions, and I said, I don't want any dead person's money. You know, so anything that I make in life, I want to make it myself. Because like I said, I ran down the bus and I caught it, and I just like to keep challenging myself, just little things. I don't want anything easy. So, you know, people talk in terms of inheriting money from incest, from their relatives, you know, like the upper classes. For me, I wouldn't want that as my life. I want everything I want to be able to trace everything back to some kind of an achievement or something, as opposed to sitting there waiting for an elderly relative to die or whatever. That's not me. So in those terms, the way I am, I don't try to force knowledge or force my ways onto people or my way of thinking. But in my sister's situation, if she wants to get out of the hospital, she's going to have to let go of the safety nets. Well, when I say let go, because what's done is done. She's already built her life that way, but now she's in the hospital. And it may seem somewhat controversial of me to say it, but it's her mindset that's got her in the hospital. Because for me, and I've said this before, when I'm not well, or when I feel that I'm not getting well, my first port of call is God. And the way I will address him is, what do you think you're doing? I've got a lot of work to do. Now is not a good time for me to be sick, right? So I reason with him, and I tell him all the inconvenience factors. You can't be doing this right now because. So I've not as yet had the conversation with him to say, well, you know, my sister needs to get better because I can't stay here forever because I've got my own place and I'm paying rent on it and I'm not living there, and paying for the internet and paying for other things, and I'm not getting the benefits of them. I could say that, but I'm here and I'm just curious, waiting to see where he's going with all of this. But I know that I've got my life to live, and because I've structured my life in such a way, and God being God, he's not going to put me in a situation that's not of my doing. So for example, it's no one chooses to get sick unless they purposely wreck their health with an unhealthy lifestyle. But my sister's not an unhealthy person, so it's just, it is what it is. But at the same time, I'm the one person who's in a position to take care of her in the way that she needs taken care of. But like I said, I've got my life that's laid out. I've got my future. And the example I use when I was talking to a friend recently, a couple of days ago actually, and I said to her, when God told Moses, sorry, not Moses, get my patriarchs mixed up. When God told Abraham to sacrifice Isaac, I am sure, given the level where where Abraham was with God, he would have worked it out that how can I have generations if this one child that God has given me in my old age is to meet with death at my hands as a sacrifice. So if you like, he could have worked out by the time he got to the mountain to sacrifice Isaac that God's not serious, he's just testing me or something, because if I do this, then this isn't going to happen. So this is the same philosophies that I apply, the same logic rather. I apply the same logic that if God has this in store for me and he wants me to do this, because I know what I'm supposed to do in my life, I won't go into it here, but maybe some future date, right? If I know that I'm supposed to do all of these things, then I can't be in this situation, right? So, or rather, I can't be in this situation forever. So I know that God is up to something. I think every situation in life is a situation from which we can learn something. And like I said, I don't worry. I look for solutions. I look for answers. So the answer that came to me yesterday was that it's the safety nets. I can't be bothered, but I'm going to find the actual passage, but I will, from the top of my head, I will refer back to the passage of scripture where it says we should take no thought for tomorrow. Taking no thought for tomorrow means forget about the safety nets, forget about all of that, because if you believe in God, right? So if you actually believe in God and you believe that God can do all that he can do, then you shouldn't really be looking for what man can do, what money can do, what insurance policies can do, and so on, because that's showing a lack of trust in God. So if you've put your trust in what for example, your health insurance, your pension, your life insurance can do for you, then what can God do for you? Because you've brought in a substitute, or you brought in various substitutes. God should be your safety net. If you believe in God, then God should be your safety net. So anyway, so I'm going to try and have that conversation with her later, because like I said, she's got all the safety nets, but it's, even though she may not be able to let go of them physically, like cash in everything, she can change her mind about it. And sometimes it's in the changing the mind that things change, or things begin to look different, and then you can, it's all about mindsets. It's literally, like I said, I felt inclined to speak to the guy who came to collect the blinds and the cushions this morning. I felt strongly inclined to speak to him, because he's on a level where he's a doer, he's practical, he has higher knowledge, and I felt inclined to say to him what it is, because I knew he's not gonna say, oh my gosh, I'm so worried, I'm so this, but or try to say, oh, don't worry, she'll be out of hospital soon, she'll get her ability to walk and speak back, oh, don't worry about it. Or then you get these type of Christians, I don't have time of day for them, who are going to start praying to their God, and the God of the Christians I don't recognize. I don't know that God. So I don't want anybody praying on behalf of her to some strange God to make the situation worse, right? So because it's they've got the mentality, a lot of them, where especially the Africans, where they'll come and they say, "Oh, it's already done. Oh, God will heal her. God will this. God will that." And it's like, how do you know? To me, all you're doing is provoking God, because that's like somebody coming to me and saying, "Oh, this person sent me and said you'll do this." I don't know the person from anywhere, but they're gonna come to me anyway and said, "Oh, I was speaking to this person and they said I should come to you because you will help me." And it's like, no. Again, there's that passage in the Bible where it says in the last day, God, people will go and say, "Lord, Lord, Lord." Sorry, oh gosh, I'm getting my scriptures confused here. So in that day, you're gonna have many who will say, "Lord, Lord," and he will say, "I don't know you, go away from me." And it's, "Oh, but we did all these marvelous works in your name." And it's like, people would think if you do good works, then you're doing it in the name of God or for God. And it's like, there's a saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And it's true. It is really true, because again, like I said, people will come and they will start giving me the sympathy. But in the sympathy, they're sending out all the negative energy. And so I don't need anybody's sympathy, not for myself. And my sister most certainly doesn't want it. She doesn't want people bothering her. But obviously, like when my mother phones with her negativity, because that's her level, she goes through the motion of saying hello, and then she hands the phone straight back to me, and then I'll answer, and I'll talk to you when I leave. Right? And it's literally like that. You just sort of like deflecting the bad energy. So, like I said, or like I usually say, pick sense out of nonsense. Wow, this video's long. It is literally as straightforward. The problem is not necessarily to do with a matter of health, but all right, the example again, going back to the bus, I could have said, "Oh, I'm not going to catch it," or there'll be another one along. The other bus along will be the safety net. But the goal was to get to the hospital for 6 o'clock. Right, so I got to the hospital for 6 o'clock, even though I shouldn't have, but because that I managed to catch that bus, which, like I said, had I decided that, oh, I'll just wait for the next one, I won't bother because I'm not gonna catch it. You make decisions in your life like that, and you it's just following the systems, the man-made systems. Oh, we're all gonna get old, we're all gonna get sick, we're all gonna die, we're all gonna this, that, the other. And like I said, my attitude, whenever I get people ringing me up about life insurance, I get so excited because you're over 50 and we've got one here, because I have nothing. And then by the time I finish talking to them, because they try, some of them, the young ones who are very sure of themselves, they'll say things to me like, "Oh, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get sick because you've got insurance, or but if you have life insurance, you can leave something behind for others. Do you have children?" "No, I don't have children. And besides, people tell me that if I did have children, I'd have a different attitude. No, I wouldn't have a different attitude, because I've got family, and I still don't have the attitude as, oh, when I'm gone, who's going to look after them. We come here to live our life, to gain experience on this earth. And it's very arrogant of us to think that it's our job to make, whatever we view as a good life, a easy life for others, right? Because even if you look at the welfare system, I'm sort of going off track here. If you look at the welfare system, it was meant for good, but you as you see, it's actually ruined lives, because you have generations of people who cannot fend for themselves, who are completely dependent on it. And God did not put us on earth to be dependent on the system. We're supposed to be dependent on Him. We're supposed to get our instructions from Him and live so we can become bigger, better, stronger, more perfect. And so, like I said, my first thing is when I don't have understanding of something, it is to seek the understanding. And by the time I'd gotten back from the hospital, I knew what the problem was. As I said, the problem is the safety nets. She's got all these safety nets, and so she can afford to be ill. She can afford to be whatever. But as said, on my part, I don't have any safety nets in my life. I don't want any. And as well, I find myself, I've cut off a lot of people, even especially now with my sister being unwell. I know how it works. You're gonna get the people. I mean, I see people, oh, you know, in my situation, they be putting it out there, my sister's not well, pray for her, prayers are needed. And it's like, that's the last thing I would ask anybody for, because who are they praying to? What are they, you know, what's gonna come back? Instead of blessings, you end up with cursings. So no, thank you. But this is slightly disjointed, I know, but this is pretty much what I wanted to say. It's not necessarily because of physical illness why people get ill. It's more to do with attitudes, and I'm hoping that anyway, God give me a way. I'm hoping that when I get to the hospital, I'll be able to explain in a few words to my sister that having safety nets is probably, I'll say probably, I won't say specifically the reason why you're in hospital. I'll say, have you considered that maybe it's because you've got all these safety nets where you can afford to be sick? And I will break it down for her if need be, and hopefully she will have a different attitude, and then we will start to see progress. And that's the end of the video. See you later.